Why has KSI been taking easy fights? It's no secret that KSI has been getting criticized for his recent opponents. Some people were happy with the Temper fight, but everyone was definitely against the Swarms and Pineda 2 fights 1 night. They were both just terrible, and it was not a good look for KSI. He took them out pretty quickly, but it was just not what the people really wanted to see. And granted, he was supposed to fight Alex Wasabi, but he ended up pulling out. But I don't think that fight was going to be that competitive either. So that brings me to the point of him having to deal with opponents pulling out of fights. He had to deal with it for the comeback fight, and he had to deal with it for the Temper fight with Dylan Dennis dropping out. So I do think that's played a part in him having to fight some lower level opponents, not wanting to take big risks on short notices, especially because he was originally supposed to fight Tyron Woodley, and then he ended up switching to Dylan Dennis, who ended up dropping out. And with that short notice, I don't think he wanted to switch back to a tougher opponent like Woodley when he could fight Temper, who is also a southpaw. And I don't necessarily blame KSI for taking his recent fight. KSI has expressed multiple times that his end goal in boxing is Jake Paul. And with all the buildup to that fight, KSI cannot lose to a lower level opponent. He can't lose to anyone at this point if he wants that Jake Paul fight. So because of the fact that he can't lose before Jake Paul, he's in this weird situation where he needs to slightly increase the difficulty opponent, but also make sure that he doesn't lose. So with Pineda and Swarms, he definitely started at the lowest level possible, and then he slightly increased with the Temper fight, and now he's got to increase one more time before that final Jake Paul fight. So for his next fight, before the Jake Paul fight, he has to take a more difficult opponent. I made a video explaining that I want him to fight Joe Fournier, but I'd be fine with him fighting anyone on that caliber. He just cannot take another easy fight. Yes, the Temper one was an upgrade, but it still wasn't to the level people wanted to see. As far as the KSI ducking allegations, with people saying he's ducking Woodley or he's ducking Jake Paul, with Jake Paul even saying that KSI will never fight him, he doesn't want to fight him, I definitely don't think that's true. KSI wants to fight Jake Paul, and I do think that is clear. KSI has expressed that he doesn't want to fight Jake Paul yet because he wants to build Misfits so that it continues to grow once he retires. And I do think that makes sense. I don't think KSI is afraid to fight him. I do think he wants to fight at the end of the year, and I do think that fight's going to happen. And I believe KSI was willing to fight Woodley, as that was supposed to be the fight before he switched over to Dylan Dennis. But he definitely is very specific with the opponents he does choose. But once again, I don't necessarily blame him for that. I'm excited for the next level opponent he faces before the Jake Paul fight, and then finally that final fight that'll answer the question of who's the #1 guy in this scene. Thank you for watching. Peace.